you watch that show.
And we're
Pick
live.
him up, bring him home. Yep.
Well, I just figure, especially because there's some time, and I appreciate that. Um, that I mean, if you look it over and you're like, this is, in case I need to rewrite anything, let me know. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, I definitely will look it over before I start, drawing the next one. I probably will look it over pretty soon because, you know what happened last time. I'm looking over the pages and I'm like, well, we can advance this panel onto the bottom of this page and we'll make a better page turner or whatever.
Right. I also appreciate that because I like being. I mean, this is my first time doing this, and we're finding our groove and all that kind of stuff. So that's fine. And yeah, I also got to the point where it was kind of weird, but like I'm on page 11 now, and you were talking about. Because I'd asked you about this before. You said a normal comic is like 22 pages. And so a graphic novel is
well, yeah, spot. Usually between 22 and 24.
Right.
Yeah, like that's just normal comic book length.
And the graphic novel would be around 60 to whatever, but around 60.
Well, yeah, like I think we were saying anywhere between 50 and 60, but 60 is like, well, it could be 60, 66. And I said if we go 66, I want to go 67, not to just not to land on sixes.
Right.
But well, I could do an extra just pin-up page for that.
Right. So I mean, the only reason why I've just started looking at it. I'm like, oh, I'm like halfway done with the comic.
Yeah.
Not with a graphic novel, but with a comic.
Right. I'm just thinking. Usually, a graphic novel is three or four issues, kind of put together into one. You're cutting down the ads or cutting out the ads because you're selling it at a higher price.
Well, I was also trying to have. I just kind of set it for myself. Roughly cliffhanger-ish, climaxy type thing around every 22 pages, or somewhere between 20 and 22 pages. Just so, like that would be the end of a comic book. Just trying to structure the whole thing so everything lands right. I don't know. Just
so here's something that you could think of is that when you're writing a story, you don't write any page to be the one that you settle on until the last one, right? Every page you should want to turn to see what happens next, right?
Well, yeah, except for if you think about.
I'm just saying, in a story, every page you should want to turn the page and see what happens next. Until the climax. So that's what I'm thinking. Like I wouldn't try to be thinking of it as in it is 3 different issues because we're not going to release it in 3 issues. Just think of it as one good story and make sure that we will together make sure to the best of our ability that they want to turn the page to the next page. That's what's important.
Okay, so perhaps it would be better to say, I want a turning point. You know how like a lot of times you've seen the story grids where there's like, about a third of the way through you should have a major turning point. 2/3 of the way through you should have another major turning point, and then you should have the climax. So that's just kind of what I'm just kind of aiming it roughly where it should fall for the end of a comic book. And I realize it's not something that I have to do. It's simply something that I think seems like that's roughly the spot where a turning point should be, is roughly the end of a comic book. Because then you want to know, what happens after that? And so I don't, like, I realize it's an artificial construct that I'm imposing, but I'm not like chained to the idea. I just think it's a good template to go by loosely.
I guess the reason that I mentioned it is because, like, if you're thinking that I only need to put 3 hooks in, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
I think you should be thinking of, I want to hook them the whole time. I don't want to look at a page and go, yeah, that sucks. I want to get to the next one.
Nah, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking
Right.
about 3 hooks.
I guess want to reinforce.
Okay.
You're not laying down the whole.
Nah. No, okay. Think of it this way. I'm working on a 3-act story structure. That's basically it. So, and I figure what would be each comic is roughly an act. And when I say roughly, I really mean roughly because I know we're not putting out 3 different comics. But it's yeah. So it's a 3-act story structure in my brain, and I don't know. Just seeing the page numbers, it's kind of an interesting process. I don't know. The writing is just wildly different. It's kind of fun.
Right, and that's what it should be. It should be fun for you and come through as fun, period. You know, that's kind of the reason I asked you to work with me on this, is because a lot of the stories that I read early on with you were really fun stories, and I wanted to kind of, like, they had some serious cool factor too.
Okay.
But they also really were all in all fun. So, like, I wanted to put that in here, and I thought, you know, you're a great person to tap to the fun factor.
Nice.
Because I tend to get serious with my stories. I tend to want to have a serious point and a serious I don't know, almost a serious theme all the way through it. And I recognize that that's not a prerequisite for a good story. But I write the way I write, so instead of trying to change to, you know, and end up slipping back into that same mold, I thought I'd call you in because I thought you would have a fun factor way higher than I would. I'm not saying that I can't write anything fun, but generally it tends to be more serious first. Snarky is my exception. So I'm drawing on watercolor paper. I said in the information box that I would say on screen because I hadn't decided yet. But I'm going to do, you know, more kind of do a fun pseudo adventure Christmas theme. People don't like Christmas. I don't know why. I love Christmas. Like, commercialization exists in all holidays, but Christmas has meaning for me. By the way, the basic concept of this that I'm working on right now comes from one of your weird stories too.
Okay.
That's a potbelly stove belly.
Oh, yeah. There you go. So I was working on something, and I needed a name for an alien race. And so I don't know if you've ever used the fantasynamegenerators.com. They have a bunch of name generators there. And what I normally will do is I'll just like choose something that's relatively close and just keep refreshing it until I see something like it's close enough or that sparks something of my own. And then I'll go, oh, okay, yeah, we'll try that. So I'm thinking of an idea or trying to come up with an idea. And so I just like, all right, I'll just go to this kaiju name generator. All right, sure. And, you know, it gives me like a list of like 10 different names and stuff. And they're all, you can kind of tell they basically.
Mothzilla.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, kind of like stuff like that. But they had combined Titan with Centipede. So I'm assuming it's pronounced Titapede. I was like, oh, that's the greatest thing ever. I'm not going to use it, but I'm definitely going to laugh about it. Instead, I went with a different technique. I thought about, for some reason, my uncle likes to call cute girls, he'll call them sweet little heifers. Which,
not to
I'm
them,
like,
I hope.
What?
I said not to them, I hope.
Hey, that man's been married 3 times.
Probably the first 2 heard him call them heifers.
So anyway.
Underlying reason for that.
So I was like, heifer. And I chose something that sounded kind of close to that. And just went with that. But yeah.
So it's like heifer and rock. Rocco and heifer.
Bye. Yeah. Just had some fun writing today, that's all.
That's good. In my opinion, that's always good.
Saw the first trailer for the Fantastic Four movie.
Oh boy.
I was Underwhelmed.
Wait a minute. That means you had expectations?
Yeah.
I enjoy the fact that you still have optimism. Well, that's optimistic. That's what's funny. In this case, anyway.
Well, I just.
Even Eli's laughing.
Yeah.
That's perhaps the funniest thing of all. He's cracking up in there.
It's really. There's nothing wrong with the trailer, I guess.
Sorry, I see why laughing was cracking me up.
It just seems kind of generic. I don't know. I guess we'll see, but I don't know.
Wait, so remind me who's in that one.
Well, Pedro Pascal, the man who might as well be Disney.
Yep, that's the one. That is the beginning of why I was not optimistic.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've seen him do like some fun stuff and all, but he doesn't need to be everything, and he doesn't have to be Reed Richards. I just,
because like he should be Reed Ricardo.
Yeah.
Oh, inappropriate joke.
At least Sue Storm and Johnny Storm look like they came from the same parents.
Hey, they're not adopted in this one.
Yeah. So
far as we know.
Right.
They're probably a couple.
And still related. Sweet.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It could turn out to be an amazing film. I mean, I'm saying it could. But I will be cautiously pessimistic. It just, on the other hand, I saw news about Andor season 2, and I'm like, yes. So I think director Krennic's going to be in
Andor season 1.
What?
How long has it been since Andor season 1?
A year or two. My only complaint for Andor was it's really 3 shows, and you really, I mean, like, I watched the first episode and it just ends. Like, there's no build up to any kind of climax or turning point or anything. It's just they're going along and boom, end. You're like, oh, it's over. Okay. And then the next episode picks, I mean, it's so obviously just one, like, 3 30-minute episodes are really one show. And kind of like they did with Sherlock from the BBC, where they had like 90-minute episodes.
Yeah, there were 3 short films for a season.
Yeah, like that's basically what Andor was. And
well, with Sherlock, they were actually taken from stories, so that's different. They were translated from actual stories. So what I'm saying is that Sherlock Holmes had a lot of short stories as well. So an hour-long episode is not unusual in terms of Sherlock Holmes, because he had a lot of short stories too.
Well, if you watch the first episode of Andor, trying to give it a chance, you really haven't seen the first episode until you saw all three. Or all three of the first 3 episodes. That was like one real episode.
Like I said, I haven't invested in any Star Wars in a long time. Star Wars taught me not to do that. So, okay, I might give it a shot just because you think so highly of it, but.
Well, I'm telling you, Andor is a good
That's the only reason that I would give it a shot at all, really, honestly. Because there's too little time in the world, what I have left in the world, to worry about stuff or to watch stuff that I wouldn't like anyway. And, yeah.
Well, you can see where, I mean, again, part of it's hope. But you can see the trend that I've had where I remember when She-Hulk came out, I watched every stupid episode.
Not a one.
It was terrible. And I gave up on the Acolyte pretty darn fast. And I haven't even attempted to watch Agatha All Along. Like, I just don't care. And
yeah, that's it for me. The last thing I watched with any kind of enthusiasm was Solo. Like, I gave the Book of Boba Fett a shot, was disappointed. Like, I watched it all, but I was disappointed. The same thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever the hell that was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I did watch them. I watched the entire things, and I just kind of thought they were stupid. Like, Boba Fett, they ruined a good character with Boba Fett. They had opportunity. They ruined it, and then they put those fucking they put those kids circus ride bikes.
Oh, the Vespas?
Yeah. Well, I thought they were the sparkly ones that go around for the little kids. But it's like, what the hell? That's a badass motorcycle gang right there.
Yeah, the Vespa gang. Yeah, I agree. It was poor execution, and yeah, some of the stuff with the Sand People was kind of cool, but
except for that, Boba Fett didn't need to learn how to fight.
Exactly.
That just robbed him of what he was before. Oh, he wasn't shit because he didn't know how to fight.
Right.
Sand People need to teach him how to fight. Like, and that's what I said. I watched it. I gave it a chance. I was hopeful. And then, them posing it like he was going to be the next Godfather or the Star Wars Godfather. I was like, really? So we're gonna be watching the bad guy's view, and then he wasn't a fucking bad guy after all. He was kind of like the TV show Equalizer without connections. Well, I guess the Sand People connections, but he was resolving problems because he was, a fake bad guy. Yeah, I guess. So, a friend of mine from high school who should be by all rights aligned with us politically, but he is more in line with his old lady, I guess, politically, because he's saying some stupid ass shit. First it was there's going to be no schools anymore because the ED is going to disappear, and there were schools before the ED.
Yeah.
And our education levels were higher before the ED.
Well, that gets rather complicated. And what's worse is people don't want to talk about the complications because it gets complicated in a lot of ways that make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Well, the ED more
the original purpose of the
than the actual education part.
That's true.
So,
but again,
and that was my ultimate point. But my ultimate point from bringing this up is not that he was, trying to say that there was going to be no education, which I think that's just stupid as an argument anyway. I don't think there's going to be that huge of a change in that anyway. But then he goes, well, it's President Musk. You have voted in President Musk, and then I go like this. I'm like, well, I hope you know that if Musk was eligible and allowed to run, I would have voted for him too. And he's like, well, good because you did. You voted for President Musk, and I'm like, yay, I win.
Our first immigrant president.
It's like, yeah, I don't think so, but first one on the book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a ridiculous argument. So he couldn't win one argument one way, so he tried it another way.
Yeah.
And he thought that he was going to be, like a third grader, making fun of the president because it's not the president, it's Musk. And first of all, a wise leader knows how to delegate tasks to people who are better at them. But second of all, if Elon Musk was running things, it would be more efficient. How do you disparage a genius running stuff who's the richest man in the world?
Because his team said so. That's how you
disparage him. I know, because he's been on it since Trump won, and it was it's just so ridiculous to read his arguments. So I left his wall and left it alone, and I posted something, and I don't think it had actually anything to do with. How did it have to do? Let me see. I'll look it up real quick. Oh, I posted a comment from Ellen Barkin, and she was mentioning she's talking about the Department of Education. She's like, are you still asking how? Half of American adults read below level 6th grade. That's how. And I just posted it, and then he just decided that the argument would be first the ED, and we're not going to have any schools anymore. Then it was I mentioned that Trump has every intention of having a government-funded college that's not agenda-driven, and he's all like, well, that's Musk's idea. And then it was like, because it's President Musk, because Trump's a puppet. And I'm like, it's just like, whatever, dude.
No, you can't argue the facts. You just attack the argument. It's an ad hominem attack.
Right.
So,
and that anytime that you attack the arguer and not the argument, you already lost.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't get, because my profession is a teacher.
Yeah, I'm glad I stopped and showed you that, because I was trying to figure out what I was going to do in this left hand, and coming back to it now I know. So
okay, but anyway, I mean, I'm a teacher, and I don't believe in the Department of Education. I think it has all kinds of stupid parts to it, and it was originally created because it was a civil rights thing. It was about making sure that minorities and such had equal access to quality education.
Ostensibly, it was.
Right.
Well, I don't know if that was actually as true as the claim is, but
well, whatever.
Yeah, we agree that that's what it was supposed to be. I don't think it's done much for justice, though.
Not really. And there are other laws that already protect it, and I just don't. the allocation of funds and the granting of things, and you have to sit there and jump through all these hoops, and it's an overreach from the Constitution. It's just not there, and it hasn't produced any good results. But again, you start asking why, and it's like, well, when you start making sure that everyone gets counted, that means everybody's going to be counted, which means test scores start being. You have a population as large as ours, you're going to get a lot of variation in your test scores. And when you start testing certain populations, statistically, your scores go down.
Well, and you got to also figure in that, like, colleges stop teaching grammar and they allow you to use Ebonics. That doesn't help them learn. That allows them to get through on what they've already got. So you can misspell, misuse, and not understand the language, because grammar is about communicating clearly, not about, like, you should conform to my way. It's just having one standard of communication.
Well, again,
that's what it's about,
you have a
right and wrong.
And the department's captured like this too, but you have most of academia captured by a left-wing ideology, which tends to be much more. It's low expectations, basically. It tries to say everything is equal, and if it's oppressor versus the oppressed, and it's just. You can't possibly have a better system or one that works better, or no, because that'd make a hierarchy. And
oppressed, you're always oppressed.
I know. That's just like, I can point to things, and you can too, like in writing. You and I both know there are plenty of venues that legally and blatantly discriminate against us.
Yep.
And I can show you, probably hundreds of them. And there's clear and obvious evidence, and there's more stuff. Publishing companies want younger writers because older writers aren't as bankable or something. I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of different challenges that
Because Stephen King don't make anybody any money.
Well, yeah, but he got started when he was younger.
Doesn't make anybody any money.
But, and I'm not defending their practices. I'm just saying, you and I.
I'm just saying it's bullshit thinking. It's
it is
a logical fallacy.
And
it seems to be the word of the day. Well,
so I can actually point to this stuff. Do I give up? No. Am I, having huge boycotts and everything? No, I'm putting my nose to the grind, and I'm trying to get my stuff done anyway, because it's the only way I can ever be successful anyways. I don't know. The people who just give up because everything, because both sides do it. One side has the oppressive patriarchy, the other side has the oppression of wokeness, and it's all BS.
Well, except for no, you just pointed out it's not BS that there's an oppression of wokeness, because there are certainly places that don't accept things from straight white people.
That's true.
But as far as the patriarchy goes, I don't see any of that in writing. Not one bit.
Not anymore, no.
Like, the closest that you could see would be Castelia House or something like that. But I don't even think that. I just think that he's got his own Christian values or whatever, and there you go.
Well, I tend to think that if a venue is closed to me, my appropriate response is, okay, that's no problem, but I never want to work with you either. It's like, no, you didn't, I'm not going to buy your product because I know it's an inferior product, and I'm not going to worry about it. And I know it's an inferior product because I know you exclude competition. Oh, based on something.
Because you don't judge on merit.
Right.
Right.
If you're going to judge on merit, then I know I can get the best writing possible. If it's based on, well, you're got the right skin tone or whatever, or you swing the right way in the bedroom. Like, oh,
I don't know how many people would be honest about those reasons anymore. Now, given the change because of the election, and I don't know if you've noticed it, but a lot of places have been changing their stance on that. Like, some people are not supporting gay parades because they don't feel they have to anymore, really. I think that if you did that in the first place out of fear, that's pretty fucked up.
Yep.
Because I think that you would have kept as many supporters by not doing that. But on the other hand, it does prove the case, or it gives evidence to the case that that is a real thing, that was going on. People were being pressured to do that.
That's like, I think our mutual friend on Facebook who has bought our work before.
Well, I don't think he's hiding that he bought our work. He said he was supposed to actually be setting up so that he could stream with us. So I've been trying to get him to come on and push his company.
But
I just am careful about people who are employing me for commissions, because I don't know if they're trying to be a surprise for somebody, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There are other reasons than just them wanting to just disavow me.
Somebody was talking about how he had seen no evidence of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. And because he had seen no evidence of it, he can't assume that it happened. And, you know, trying to prove a negative is asking him to prove a negative is unfair. And I get that. So saying prove that there was no fraud doesn't it isn't a logical thing to ask. But I do think it's logical to say, okay, what's your evidence of a secure election?
I think it's also fair to ask by what criteria you're making a judgment. You don't have to prove that it didn't happen, but prove to me how it couldn't happen if you're making that claim, because then You're not defending it, you're making an assertion.
Right. When they say that the elections were secure, that's okay. What were the... How? How were they secure?
I'm sure they were secure.
Yeah.
Just who was securing them that's the actual dispute, right? Who were they secured for? I mean, who were they?
I mean, I can tell you right now, it was the most constitutionally non-compliant election I think we've ever had. But, you know, whatever. And in the long term, we may get lucky, because long term, I think a lot of the shenanigans that were exposed have helped culturally. People are, you know, I don't think there are as many people now who really believe all that crap about MAGA people and Trump and Nazis and all this stuff. It's like,
I have a different angle on it. I have a different angle on it, but I agree that it's more clear what's bullshit and what's not. It's not completely clear because there is obfuscation intended. But I think actually a good portion of the credit goes to what I'm going to call grassroots reporters. They are people that are not network involved, not paid off, but sick of seeing what's happening and recording what's happening and posting it on multiple platforms so that even if one thing gets erased, it gets shared before it gets erased. So I think that's one of the main ways that the cheat was stopped. Because there's clearly evidence. I was listing it all during the election. Every time that I see evidence of some kind of cheating, whether it be machines switching votes from the Republican to the Democrats, whether it be Democrats posing as election officials, turning people away. There was a lot of shenanigans going on, but I was only informed because we weren't informed from the mainstream media. They didn't want to let us know on the mainstream media. The way we knew was because people that were actually out there in lines were filming that stuff. People that were physically being insulted were filming that and showing us. That's like the whole Hurricane Helene stuff. We wouldn't know half the stuff that went on there without people actually showing us the shit that was going on.
Yep.
So I think while what you were saying is accurate, I think a lot of the reason that we are not getting sold this mass bullshit is because there's enough people calling bullshit and filming and showing that it's bullshit to be denied. The people took it in their own hands, and I fully believe that this election, more than any other in my entire lifetime, was the people's. Because all of the opposition, it was an incredible amount of opposition, right? Like, you got the people that are supposed to be unbiased and allowing everybody the same kind of airtime or whatever, being biased while they're allowing you the airtime. So it was just crap all the way down the line, and people were starting to see it, and they're not over it yet. You know, they're still propagating this nonsense, but nobody's buying it, and that's why the ratings are dropping on certain shows. That's why certain hosts are either getting fired or leaving the country. And that's interesting that some people actually have left the country this time.
Well,
I bet you they come back. I bet you they come back.
Maybe because of the connections to Diddy and Epstein are starting to leave. But anyway.
I would say multiple reasons, but still, I do bet you they come back because they're going to find they're not making the same living in other countries. And to leave the country, to say that I'm not going to be a U.S. citizen anymore, there's a procedure. And you have to have another country that's willing to accept you before you can do that. So you can't expatriate without having another country that's willing to accept you.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. My wife did the research on that one. She's like a bulldog with that stuff, and I appreciate it because I'm paying attention to other shit, and she's nailing that shit down. We generally agree on the outcome of an argument or whatever, but we come at it from
American.
Huh?
Like, I would think as one of the most American things ever should be the fact that you could just leave. Like you know what? Screw you guys. Like, it's not the government's responsibility to make sure you have somewhere to go.
The other end of that, Brett, is where are you going to go?
Well, I get that.
If nobody wants you, if nobody's going to accept you as a citizen, where are you going to go?
That shouldn't be the government's job, though.
It's actually in their favor because if they don't expatriate and go to another country and the country that says, I don't want you, they're still an American citizen, so they still have a country, right?
Well,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what the facts are, not whether or not I agree with the rule of law. It's just that's what the rule of law is.
I'm just saying that it just seems I'm not arguing with the facts on this. I'm just saying I shouldn't need another. I don't know. It's just weird. like, I don't know. Anyways.
I think it's less weird than having to have permission to sue the government when the government does you wrong from the
I
government.
agree. That too is BS.
So if you need to sue the government, you have to have permission from the government to sue the government because the government needs to be sued. That's circular reasoning, and
yeah, I know.
And how are you gonna win? How are you gonna win? So,
well, I mean, it happens, but
barely.
I saw that. Well, actually, it happens probably more than what you know, because it's a technique that's used. And you can't get a law passed. You get an interested party to file suit, and then the government just doesn't defend itself. So they lose the lawsuit, and then the court decides what the remedy is, and you get these laws that completely were not made out of Congress, or regulations or whatever, because they're not actually laws. Because they, but whatever, they are in effect laws. So. But that's a little game they like to play to screw over actual citizens. So. Now I saw this meme today that I just thought, okay, you are really tone deaf on this. Saying that, well, I guess after 200 or so years, we've proven at least one man is above the law. And I'm just like, okay. I'm not sure what law you think anyone's above. But,
or which man?
Yeah, I'm like, we've already shown certain women are above the law. Sorry. I was hitting my phone with a hammer after I was told not to by a court. I had a nice friendly little chat with the FBI and was told, where I admitted to breaking the law, but it wasn't my intent, even though I hid all the evidence, and even though intent isn't part of the law.
Even though I signed papers that said I know and agree to it.
But she's not above the law. Okay. And I don't know. Nobody had to change the law so that you could somehow turn something that wasn't illegal into something illegal, and then the jury doesn't have to agree on what he was guilty of. You just have to say he was guilty of something,
right?
And therefore,
something other than just the first charge. It doesn't matter what. Find something. He's guilty. Find something. That's what a judge should say at the outset of a trial.
Yeah, and it's just.
That's not.
I'm sorry. You are just delusional.
That's not partial at all.
I mean, the only person who got railroaded more by a court would be Alex Jones. His court case is just insane.
Yeah, I agree.
And
well, that's something that my wife and I disagree on, but I do agree. I don't think he caused that kind of damage to anybody. He didn't do anything. He just commented on something. And if he's a conspiracy theorist, nobody expects to believe him, right? So
exactly.
That just kind of dispels the whole argument. He either is
if they can say that,
or he's news and trusted news.
Yeah,
so make up your mind.
People who claim to be trusted news on the big networks get sued, and they go, "Well, no one. We're entertainment. No one believes us." And the courts say, "Yeah, you're right." But Alex Jones, he rarely said anything about it being a hoax. And when later on, he did change what he said. So, basically uttering, saying a retraction before he was sued, to my knowledge. So I just don't understand why one single person can owe like $1 billion, or like the FBI agent that sued him, which he never mentioned the FBI agent at all ever, and they awarded damages to the FBI agent. And it is insane. And they basically tried to steal his company from him through that auction.
Yeah, that's not completely done yet, but they had to put it on pause and back it up a step because it wasn't an auction. It was a private sale under the table, and they were calling it an auction because they didn't think anyone would catch them. So, what do you want for Christmas?
Become independently wealthy so I could just focus on my writing.
No, not much.
If you could get that for me, you don't even have to gift wrap it. That's funny, man. I wonder when that switches. I don't ever think about what I want for Christmas. I never think about it. I always worry about...
We mostly switch when we have kids.
It could be.
Because, it's the kids that want stuff for Christmas, and really you want to watch the kids open their gifts and have a good time.
Yeah.
I know I don't, but I know Amanda used to spend hours and hours and hours wrapping stuff so they could make a mess of it on the floor in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And anyone that wants that is out of their mind, right? It's the look on their faces when they open the wrappers that what we do it for.
Yeah, I mainly look forward to like Christmas for the time off. Sweet.
I really like Christmas trees on Christmas Eve. We used to have a tradition of riding around looking at everybody's Christmas lights.
Oh yeah.
My life has been. I've never been a wealthy kid, so sometimes poorer than others. Sometimes my only Christmas present was to be able to look at the soft lights of a Christmas tree on Christmas Eve and watch other kids open their gifts, you know? So it's not about the gifts, it's never been. I'm one of those literalists. I know what Christmas is, what Christmas is for, and
Yeah.
that's important to me. It's kind of like the whole Charlie Brown Christmas special, right?
Yep.
Like all kinds of Christmas specials had goofy shit, but Charlie Brown, while being goofy, stops in the middle to make the point that Christmas is about the birth of Christ.
Yep.
I like that. My wife was talking about, like, she knew somebody that their Christmas tradition was to only give 3 gifts to their kids. One was a gift of what they want, one's a gift of what they need, and one's a gift of what you think they should have. So it was kind of representative of frankincense and myrrh and gold, right? So
Yeah.
it was interesting to think of it that way.
We tell the boys, like, they normally got more than 4 presents, but they got to choose 4, kind of. But we would tell them, tell us one thing you want, one thing you need.
Thank me.
Bless you. One you want, one you need, one to wear, and one to read.
Oh, that's good.
And then, they got whatever else we felt like giving them. But
yeah, right. Or could afford to.
Yeah. And then birthdays and such, we always kind of kept it to 3 things: small, medium, and large. And that was because we didn't have a lot of money when they were growing up. We don't have a lot of money now, but definitely had less then. And I don't know. I don't feel like they ever suffered for it, I guess.
Well, I'm going to guess by the way you talk about your kids that they didn't. Sometimes the things that we do that they don't like make them better.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes the things that we do that we get wrong make them better too, right?
Sometimes.
They learn what not to do. I've learned a lot of what not to do that way, but I also learned a lot of what to do that way.
Well, that's what I always figured. Like, there are certain things I have not done as well as my parents, and there are other things that I feel like I did better. And the things I did worse, I tried some stuff out, and I know better, and I can advise my children on how to avoid that. And
It did not work.
Yeah. Or just some stuff, it's like, be prepared. Like, I don't mind the decision I made, but it had consequences, and you got to be prepared to pay those prices. That's what I've always told the boys. It's like, just
all of them do.
You do something, be prepared to pay for it.
All of those decisions, all of them.
Yeah.
None of them come for free. Ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Yeah, I was kind of proud of Eli tonight because he made a wise decision. Usually he's more of an impulse decision guy.
Yeah.
Yep, he got a brownie with nuts in it, and because of his condition, that actually nuts don't they hurt him really. In the long run, they make him very, very irritable. And he brought home a brownie with nuts. And Amanda pointed it out, and he was like, "No, that's for you, Mom. I can't handle them." He's like, "I can't handle them." I was like, nuts. That's the shit. That's the wise decision, bud. I gotta mute. I got a woman move.
Okay. For anyone who's watching and wants to know something truly disgusting, I can hear my sinuses wrapping around this earbud and then releasing. It's truly disturbing to hear that noise, and I just wanted to share while Rich is going to be silent for a while. So, happy Thanksgiving.
Well, I just didn't think that anybody wanted to hear snot fly.
Yeah, so I gave him a story about snot. So, I'm a giver.
It's like that old joke, what's green and goes 100 miles an hour backwards. I didn't say it was a great joke.
Nah. Yeah, my son came home from school the other day, and he was talking. He's like, how do they not know the rhyme milk lemonade? And I'm just like,
the rhyme what?
Milk lemonade. Please tell me you've heard this thing.
I don't think I have.
Oh my goodness, this is for my. Yeah, there's this wonderful little schoolyard limerick or chant, and basically it's milk, which you point to your nipples. Lemonade, you point to your crotch, and around the back the fudge is made.
Oh.
And
that's like the haunted bathroom. The one where kid goes in and he hears, "Gotcha, gotcha. Now I'm gonna eat you."
Yeah.
And goes running out. You know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's the same way.
But apparently, if you've never heard that, I guess it's not a... But yeah, I was shocked to hear that no one, or lots of people out of school had not heard that. I was kind of like, well, that's weird.
Well, it's probably a colloquial joke. I mean, it's just more common around that area.
I guess.
Well,
but I mean, it's one of those things where you don't know what kind of a bubble you're in until it gets popped. So, I guess I was in a bubble and it got popped.
What?
Well, I'm just saying, I just assumed everyone had that knowledge. It's a bubble of knowledge that I assumed everyone had. I was wrong. My perception was wrong. So was my son's. So is that like a wood-fired nutcracker?
A what?
A wood-fired nutcracker.
If you make him mad. Oh, what the hell?
What did you do?
I don't know what. Oh, must be that. Oh, it must be this. Where did I get it? Ah, that's where I got it. That makes sense. I'm like wondering why there's pencil dust in weird shapes on it. I checked my hand. It's not on my hand, but it's on my fingers. I was holding it. All right. No, it's kind of a funky Santa Claus thing.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking like steampunk mech. It's just a cartoon. I was also faultily thinking, or mistakenly thinking, it was going to be just a quick cartoon that I can paint and call it good. You know, a one-shot thing. Like, it's not super complicated, it's just getting there, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't do much for actual cartoons, and I thought I would do something that could be more of a cartoon.
Okay.
I feel like counting 2 times, get the paper, get the paper.
Your camera's going nuts tonight. It's like epileptic.
Yeah, probably don't get it from any place strange.
My son made French onion soup tonight for supper.
Oh, we made chicken noodle. Well, she made chicken noodle. I don't say we didn't do it. She did it.
Well, so he's making this pot of soup, and it smells delightful, and I'm getting hungry. And I'm like, sweet. And I see how much there is, and I'm like, what else you got? He's like, that's it. And I was like, no, really.
What are you eating?
What else do you got? And,
no, what are you eating?
Yeah. So he got all butthurt because my wife and I decided to order pizza. And he was like, that soup is good. I'm like, I know the soup is good. You know, like, if it tastes half as good as it smells, it's not like it's gonna be fantastic.
It's a winner.
It's just when I'm done eating that soup, I'm still going to be hungry because it's, you know, warm water that's been flavored. Come on. And he just couldn't understand. I'm like, dude, it's not an insult for me to say, your food is good, I want more. But yeah, he was just kind of upset by that. I don't care, kid. There's bread out there. I'm like, great. What goes on the bread?
Oh, so you want me to make a sandwich with it? Stupid sandwiches.
There's nothing to put on the bread. He's like, just dip the bread in the soup. And I'm like, child?
Have you ever had bread soup? It's not very fulfilling. It's like eating a sponge. No matter how tasty the sponge is, it's just a sponge.
Oh, that's so funny. So the his bag is very faint on the left hand side.
It's not done.
Well, I figured, but
this side.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, because this is his left, and that's a tree.
Okay, our left, and so I've been wondering why he held a crumpled up tissue in one hand. Because I did not realize it was his bag. And then I realized, oh, that's a bag. Yeah, thinking. Because I saw, yeah, you didn't have that line in there before. So,
yeah.
I mean, it was faint.
He doesn't want to have
some
sneakers.
scribbling. What?
He doesn't want to have sneakers.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, so that playlist on Spotify for Thanksgiving music it had some Charlie Brown music in there from that's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just not as good as the Christmas stuff. Like, just none of it was really. Like, I can tell you a couple Halloween.
It's Halloween, right?
What?
The Great Pumpkin's Halloween, though, right?
Well, I agree, but it was
they already screwed up.
Yeah, apparently if it had anything to do with pumpkins, they were like, all right, do that. Or if it had anything, like, there's James Brown, do the mashed potato. Like, okay, all right, whatever. But ultimately, it's just not good. And yeah, the Christmas music is just better. Although I got to tell you that one of my least favorite songs of all time, and probably my least favorite Elvis song, was Blue Christmas. I hate that thing. It's creepy as hell.
Yeah. Have you listened to the Dee Snider Christmas?
No?
That's some creepy shit. Now you're gonna have to cue it up, right?
No, I don't. I do not.
Nah. And this is where the old comic axiom comes into play. When in doubt, rack it out.
There you go. Oh, Lord.
Well, you know, it's meant to be pretty much cartoon and fun. Not to be exact, not to be symmetrical.
Check out the private chat real fast.
Just a second.
It's in reference to when in doubt, black it out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's just off color. Well, that's the other axiom when you're blacking it out. You know what that is? Once you do, you can never take it away.
Wow, weird. Oh, Lord. Lord.
Yeah. How long did you say you think it would take us to get to Trump?
Well, it's almost like put it in the private chat. It's okay.
That kind of sounds like a pun all of its own.
A little bit. Especially, have you heard the term chat? It's like a way of saying, like, you guys. You just say, hey, chat. Well, okay, so like it started basically on Twitch, where people would ask the chat room to validate or verify stuff. Hey, chat, can you know, whatever. Or, hey, chat, did you see this? And it has migrated to people saying it in real life. And they'll refer to their, you know, like their friends or whatever. Hey, chat.
I'm glad I don't get around it in real life.
Well, you know, I mean, really, out of all the things in the world, when you think about the term guys, which is relatively gender neutral in English, but it's not technically. If it got replaced with "Hey chat," I wouldn't be all that. I'd be like, all right, whatever. I don't know how long that'll last, you know, because it's rare for slang to last that long, but it's possible. Ugh.
Have you ever had Scrapple?
Grapple.
Yeah. I'm guessing by your questioning, the answer is no.
Well, not by that name, anyway. So you're not talking about something else and calling it that? No.
I'm trying to figure out a good way to. So I'm googling it. A traditional mush of fried pork scraps and trimmings combined
Nope.
with combined with cornmeal and wheat flour, often buckwheat flour and spices. Anyway,
No.
I was thinking
I
about
thought
it
you were
the
talking
other
about
day.
the game Scrabble,
Now, Scrapple.
because we used to call it Squabble.
Wow. So
So I didn't know if you were just, doing that in your own way.
yeah, Scrapple. It's a Pennsylvania Dutch thing. Although I think they call it something else, like Pothouse or something. But I've been thinking about it just because I was thinking, I bet you could make kind of your own using like breakfast sausage and stovetop stuffing mix, form it into a loaf, cook it, and it might be pretty good.
Almost sounds like a redneck poutine idea. It's just tater tots, gravy, and Canadian bacon.
That kind of sounds like a redneck bangers and mash.
Huh?
Your redneck poutine.
You know what poutine is?
Yeah, it's fries and cheese curds and gravy, and that's it, right? Does it have meat in it?
Yep, got meat in it.
Is it
Redneck is just because it's tater tots and it's like beef on jus.
yeah?
And cheese.
Which, to be fair, sounds just as good as poutine. I'd eat them both. I wouldn't mind. You're talking, gravy, potatoes, and meat and cheese. Oh no, gosh. What part
Right.
of that sounds bad?
Right?
That's like growing up, we had one of the poor food recipes my mom had were stuffed hot dogs. where if she had leftover mashed potatoes, she would get hot dogs, slice them down the center, put some mashed potatoes in it, put half a slice of American cheese on top, put it in the oven. It came out, kind of brown, like the cheese started to bubble and brown a little bit. You pulled it out. There you have it. And that's just one of those things I grew up on, and I've described it to other people, and they're like, potato or mashed potatoes inside of a hot dog. I'm like, what's wrong with that? Like, you eat hot dogs and French fries. So what's the big deal?
I don't know. Let's see if it should. Like Eli, his favorite Renee that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
She makes mashed potatoes with sour cream in them.
Okay.
Yeah, like you would eat it anyway, right? You would eat baked potatoes with sour cream, so mashed potatoes with sour cream doesn't sound gross.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gross. He loves it.
I had seen a recipe for mashed potatoes that was like a 1-to-1 ratio by weight of mashed potato and butter.
Ew.
And
too much butter for my boy. Literally.
So one year for Thanksgiving, I was like, I'm making those. I'm doing that. And my wife made me stop. She's like, that's enough. I'm like, we haven't reached the right ratio. It's enough. It's fine. All mad. And then tried to spoon some up and they would slide across your plate. It was just yeah, I think 1-to-1 might have been a little much. But it's a fond memory, I don't care. I dare to dream. Ooh, I'm going to do my mid-stream stretch. I'll be right back. I'm going to go see Man About a Horse. Be back in a moment. And I'm back. Hey, you're muted in case you're talking. Just letting you know. Whew. Too much running around. Ah. Gives me a chance to catch my breath. In case anyone wants to know, my dog is down here as I'm just going.
Oh, poor baby Carl.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to talk to anybody around here.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to talk to you for a minute.
Well, that's fine. I just know that sometimes if I get, like, I'll mute it for some, like my boy will poke his head in or something, so I'll mute it. And by the time I turn back around, I'll have forgotten I'm muted, and then I'll be like, what the hell? I'll have a whole conversation that's really one-sided.
Yeah, I knew it. I was letting you know that I knew it, I guess.
Okay. No, I ran downstairs to grab a slice of pizza, and my dog decided that I'm her best friend now. I have no idea why she's so attracted to me right now. As she stares at my
It had
pizza
nothing to
slice.
do with food.
Yeah, no.
Although, to be fair, I am her favorite.
Huh? To be fair, what?
I am her favorite.
Couldn't have anything to do with food.
Sure, it does. But I also play with her the most, and I also give her the most attention. And, just because she knows where her bread is buttered does not mean she doesn't love me. Just like all the strippers.
It's okay, dog. I'll give you a bite. Stop looking so forlorn. What? It's all I have. You want to be on TV? You want to be on the YouTubes and the Twitch? Come here. She's like, no, I don't. I want to put my head on your knee and hold it there. All right, go lay down. Go on, go lay down. Go lay down. Ugh. Dog needs to learn how to back up. So for the past few days, my boy's been playing one of the Arkham Asylum games. And I don't know which one it is. So I'll just be up front. No clue. But the design for Scarecrow on this thing is just fugly. It's just... He looks kind of like a frog or a fish. It's just... It is not a good Scarecrow design. It's like they tried to get all techno. I don't know. It's just bad. I saw a clip on Facebook today, and the guy was painting Wolverine. And it was kind of fun because it was like a time lapse thing, so sped up.
Yep.
And
it was Alex.
Yeah, whatever his last name is, that was the guy.
Yeah, I know. He's pretty famous for his watercolor painting.
And,
Alex Ross. Alex Ross. How do you forget Ross, right?
Yeah, it's just it was kind of funny because it showed a lot of his inspiration. Like he had one like clipped to his palette or an inspiration picture and stuff, and one of them I think he stood. I think he used himself as a model just to get the light right.
He does all the time.
That just made me laugh.
Why, if you look at his costumes of his characters, they all look like they're sewn costumes and not like the type of thing that you see in the movie. Not even the type of thing that you see in the comics nowadays. It looks like they're costumes from the 40s. If you look close, they've got seams and everything else, and that's because he either rents or makes costumes for cosplay and then uses them as reference. But, so if you take a picture of yourself in the costume and then paint it exactly, it's not cheating because it's you, right?
Okay.
Well, it's not cheating. It's not like stealing a photo or whatever. It's a photo of you that you took.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it uses watercolor and gouache. Gouache. Known by some as gouache. What? Okay.
What were you looking at?
Well, some of these colors look like something else.
Okay. So you were trying to figure out what color it actually is?
Yeah, I kept the description from the box on what these are the colors in order, but they don't have the spaces. So the top 6 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right there.
Yeah.
And then the next row will be blue and green, and then green and burnt sienna. But burnt sienna kind of looks a little orangey or red or there. It's there, and this is darker blue, so it's kind of a purpley color. Supposed to be dark blue, but because I have some red on the brush. It's kind of purpley. Watercolor is about consistency in my usage. Like, you know, some people use it and like you just hit it and let it spread or whatever. That is not the way I use it. And actually, that's way moister than I'd like it to be, so. Sometimes, look at how pre-mixed. I don't want it to be overly moist, because the less moist it is, the thicker the consistency when you lay it down. And the less apt it is to blend with the color you had before it. I'm ruining a good expensive paintbrush for this. That right there tells you the consistency. If I can lift it with the brush, not overly wet. I saw a guy, like when I was still trying to learn how to paint. I met a guy that was a special needs guy that was painting with watercolor and making it look like oils. And that's where I learned that it's the consistency that makes the difference. Sometimes I can get that look. Sometimes not so much, but I try. Just depends on how much of a rush you're in too, because the more patient you are, the more you can get out of it. And then you just wet the brush and go back over the paint. It'll actually clean off the part that you don't want. Like if you want to get rid of the blue, make it more like it was. I think one thing that kind of messes with people is that you can't really start with a big surface while you're learning to do this kind of thing. That's why I use the little sketchbook, because it takes less to get these blends and ideas down. Once you get larger like that, it takes quite a bit more to get the same idea down and to figure out the consistency, because everything is about that consistency. You get it too wet and it blends with what's underneath or removes stuff. I know you work with watercolors, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See, that's what's going on there. Had too much in that small area, not letting it dry. And of course, can do this and just kind of layer it with the water, but once the water dries, it thins out. And it kind of thicker where your brush stops the stroke. think that's one thing that sucks about all these people that do how-to videos like that is that they make it look so easy and they don't explain that you can't expect it to work the same way as what they're making it work every time. You have to find your own way, and you have to find the consistency with different material all the time. Like they make it look like you don't even have to let it dry. You can just go because it's time lapse.
That's one of the hardest things to do is to stop because it needs to dry. You're like, but I want to do it now.
Right, because your mind is working on this piece and it doesn't stop working on the piece.
Right.
Just because it's not, going to be fortuitous to work on the piece. I think that's like kind of unfair to those that are just watching it and they want to jump into painting, because they have no idea that you have to figure out what the right consistency of water is to paint ratio to make it work like you want it to work. Of course, obviously, the more practiced you are, the easier it is, and you can get like a style going. But you have to work with it a long time to get that. That said, water paint actually, if you leave it alone for a minute, does dry fairly quickly unless you really saturate it. Which, if you're leaving it the hell alone, it won't. And that's still saturated because of how much that I did in there. Which is kind of why I was doing that, so people would know that if you oversaturate it, it's really easy to make it so it's hard to work with and thin. And it looks like it's very, watery, bubbly. It leaves those kind of water ring edges, which is perfectly fine if you want to get that look. I generally don't want to get that look. So that's why I preach layer, layer, layer. Let it dry, come back in. New layer, just a little bit fine. Let it dry, see what it's going to do. I have literally painted over one color with another and made that color disappear. But that really, really takes a lot of patience.
Did you see who they got to voice Clayface for James Gunn's DCEU?
No.
Stanley Tudyk.
Who?
I believe. Let me just double check this. But I believe. Hold on. Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk. Because
Yeah, I had the wrong first name.
Yeah, I thought you said Stanley Tudyk, and I thought you were conflating two different actors. Alan
It is,
Tudyk
but it's Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk did the voice of the robot in Rogue One.
Yeah, I know.
He also is funny as shit on Resident Alien.
I just don't know if I hear him as Clayface.
I just watched him do a bunch of the voices he did, and some of the voices I didn't know he did. So he's got a range.
So you're saying I could be surprised?
You could be surprised. He is a graduate of Juilliard, too.
Well, I like him as an actor.
Well, I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying, like, he's got a range, and he's a graduate of Juilliard, which speaks to his qualifications. That doesn't mean that he'll make a great Clayface or whatever, but did you know that Heath Ledger was consoling him on the set of Batman because a friend of his died, and Heath Ledger was friends with that person as well. Like, Heath Ledger had stayed at his apartment and all this other stuff. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's interesting the circles that you see or the connections that you can make. It's kind of like that whole connect so-and-so to so-and-so within 4 movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But Alan Tudyk, I think, actually was in Batman movies with Heath Ledger. pretty sure he was just a voice of something, but wait a minute, what the hell was he? I think he was something else. I think he was actually on screen, but I didn't recognize him when he was.
Well, if he was,
It's hard to remember. I watched it on a short, so
I'll just look it up. He was in Batman: The Audio Adventures. He was in MODOK. Doom Patrol.
he was a Joker in something, right?
I don't know.
That's one of the voices he did. I want to say something Harley Quinn.
He was in. Hold on a second. Yep. Well, I guess he was. He was Clayface in that too.
There you go.
So he was the Joker and Clayface. Maybe I should watch a clip. Then I won't have to wonder if he could be a Clayface or not.
Well, I mean, you still have to wonder what James Gunn is going to do with it,
Yeah, I'm
because the actor can only do so much, given that the director is going to have the ultimate say on stuff.
I know. But I just, again, I don't understand getting rid of Henry Cavill. So I just, okay.
You don't understand what?
Why they got rid of Henry Cavill for Superman.
Oh yeah, right. Well, his excuse was we want a younger Superman, but they picked someone that looked exactly like Henry Cavill, right?
Yeah.
Very much like Henry Cavill. And what was really stupid about it is he had a fan base of him as Superman, and there was a whole bunch of girls that were interested in watching him as Superman. So he cut his audience in maybe a third, at least a half, at least a third, maybe to a half,
Yeah.
because he had a faithful following. He being Henry Cavill. I don't think it was a wise decision, but if he hadn't, we wouldn't have the upcoming Highlander, right? And I'm kind of interested to see what he's going to do.
Well, I guess what annoys me more about that is, I mean, I'm happy that Henry Cavill is going to be in Highlander, and I'm happy that they're remaking Highlander. But I think there are several people who could have played Connor McLeod.
What's that?
There are several different people who could have played Connor McLeod. Or Duncan McLeod, whichever McLeod that they're going with. It's the.
Well, it says on the poster, Connor, but I don't know how true that poster is.
But I haven't seen anyone play Superman as well as Henry Cavill did. So that's the part that kind of annoys me. Like, I can think of several people right now who I could have cast for Highlander, and I think they would work.
Well, of course you think they would work if you think that you could cast it.
Right, but I can't think of anyone I would cast for Superman that I would think would work as well as Henry Cavill.
Yeah. I think they missed the boat on a few with Highlander, and I don't think. And here's a controversial thought.
Because it's the last 30 minutes of our show.
Yeah, probably.
It's the danger zone.
Here's the controversial thought: is that Highlander, on its premise, doesn't have to be a young man.
That's
So
true.
we could have Gerard Butler, who's a Scot, playing the part.
Yeah.
And I also think, and probably it's going to be controversial whether I'm trying to be or not, I really think that Colin Farrell could play him too.
Okay.
He could have played him better when he was a little bit younger, but I think still, I don't think age is a drawback to that character because he's supposed to be immortal. So it all depends on how old they portray him, and in the remake, they could make him however old they want to be. So it's ironically, it's basically saying that they could actually have Scots playing Scotsmen, which is what their bitch has been all along, right? About cultural appropriation and all this other shit. They have the availability of having a Scot play him.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill is not a Scot. I think they're trying to capitalize on Henry Cavill's build and popularity with the girls.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I think that, at one time, Colin Farrell had the same popularity.
Yeah.
But I think Gerard Butler still has some of that popularity as well. So.
Yeah.
Well, again, we don't have to agree, but
All right.
I think that he wouldn't drive anyone away. He might pull in a bigger crowd because he's authentic. Anyway.
No,
That's just, I guess I'm just agreeing that other people could play that role, and I guess giving my picks for it. Those two actually are Scottish, or wait a minute, I don't know if Colin Farrell is Scottish or Irish, now that I think about it. I think he might be Black Irish.
Well, I suppose. I mean,
not that it really matters. I mean,
yeah.
cinema-wise, but like you're not going to get somebody to play an Indian that's a white guy these days without getting a whole bunch of shit for it.
Right.
Right? And I guess that's my thinking behind it, is that you've got characters that are good actors that have played, like, I don't think it would be a stretch for Gerard Butler to play him, because he played Beowulf and Grendel was kind of the same type of role, and he did pretty damn good on it. It was a B movie, and I still like it. And there's very few B movies that are big for me that stay. The test of time, I guess. Most of the time, the B movies that stay the test of time, in my case, are ones that I really like a concept on. It's more the concept than the actual movie. I think, like, Highlander, the strength in the original Highlander really wasn't Christopher Lambert. He was a relative unknown. And even though Clancy Brown was a relative unknown, I think he was the strongest role. Because you hated him more than you were rooting for the good guy. And I think Clancy Brown has a unique ability like that. So you have to find a bad guy or an actor that plays enough bad guys to be able to pull that off, I think, to make Highlander right. A lot of movies fail because of that for me. And it's weird, but like the new Conan, when they made the Jason Momoa version.
Yeah.
It was the bad guy that ruined it for me. He's a good bad guy in Avatar, but he's just not a Conan bad guy.
I can't remember who the bad guy even was.
It was the bad guy from Avatar, the sergeant that trying to kill him, or commander or whatever.
I really don't remember that movie very well.
Huh?
That Conan movie was kind of forgettable.
Well, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the bad guy wasn't bad enough for you to care. And here's my hot take on that Conan movie, is that it failed because the producers were trying to get as much of Conan into that story as they could, and not focusing on each aspect, because they have a little bit of Conan the Adventurer, a little bit of Conan from his youth, a little bit of Conan the Pirate. Pick one. You can't do it all, because nobody's going to do it all in that short of a time. I think that was their failure, is that they tried to put too much into Conan and kind of flattened out the character. I think Jason Momoa could have done well, but it was just so much jammed in. I mean, if you read Conan and you know the original source material, they almost tried to put Conan the Black Coast and Conan, there was a lot. The whole Black Pirate crew, that's from Conan the Black Coast. That was Boet's crew. So that wasn't wrong. But what was wrong is they were focusing on his father and revenge and all this other stuff, which should have never been there. And where was Belief? You had your crew, but you didn't have her. You know, you didn't have the Queen of the Black Coast. That's my hot take on that. Is that in their rush to try to get everything in there, or in their, I don't know if rush is the best word, but in their desire to get a whole bunch of different aspects of Conan in there, they lost any kind of identity for Conan. And that was the strength of the Schwarzenegger ones, is because he had to kind of focus on the one role because he didn't have very much for acting skills. So he wasn't trying to bring 7,000 things to life. And John Milius, I think John Milius is the biggest reason that Conan the Barbarian originally worked, because John Milius is a badass and he was a man's man. And all of his movies basically made man's man the center role, like in Red Dawn, in Conan, in Judge Roy Dean, he wrote. Jeremiah Johnson. Apocalypse Now, that was his baby. Matter of fact, him and Oliver Stone, I guess, got into it one time because Oliver Stone is a veteran of, I think, Vietnam. And he came back disillusioned on war. And John Milius always wanted to go to war. So they had two different views on war. I don't think John Milius ever did go to war, but he always wanted to be the warrior. He wanted to go to war, and he had a warrior mentality. If you haven't seen it, there's a great documentary called Milius. He went to film school with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. He wrote a couple of episodes of Rome as well. That line in Jaws where Shaw's talking about his time in the service.
Yeah.
He wrote that over the phone for Steven Spielberg. It was definitely a different era, but I still think that's what the strength was really of the Conan movies. I read I read his script for the third one, and it's just too damn bad that they didn't do it because it was really good. It felt true to Conan's arc as well. I don't think he actually read Robert E. Howard and decided that's what it should be, but I think anybody that is a true Conan fan and has read Howard would appreciate his third script. It almost like rings true to The Hour of the Dragon, which was the only Conan novel that Howard wrote. How can you tell it's time to change your water? And for those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I'm painting with my water. Hmm. I'm not showing you the condition of that cap.
Of the what?
The cap to that water I just poured.
Why is it? How bad is it?
Well, it's a little bit dusty. Say a little bit, just a tad bit dusty. By just a tad, I don't want to see everybody to see how dusty it is.
Nice.
But to be fair, I haven't been using it. So.
It's not like it's drinking water.
Not anymore. No. The cap is just dusty. It's black. Well, it's black underneath.
Hey, I'm not wrong when I say that you can't copyright a title, right?
No, you can't. You can trademark a title. I don't think you can copyright a title. But if it's a common title or a popular title, obviously people will recognize it. Why? What are you thinking?
Well, I got something in the works that the file name is currently the Analog Kid.
Ah, a little bit rushy.
Yeah. But it also makes perfect sense.
Well, so unless you are using lyrics from the song,
Nope.
No, I'm just saying, unless you're using lyrics from the song, you should be able to get away with it. But, you know, you might want to ask if you can, because they might just let you use some lyrics from the song as well. You know, if you wanted to. That would not be surprising, actually. So.
Well, as cool as that would be, I mean, the reason why I chose the Analog Kid is because it's actually appropriate for the character. But I don't think the character is actually going to go by that term. I just thought it was a good. I don't know how else. It was a good file brand. I don't know how else to put it. Like it's what I branded the folder so that I know what I'm getting into. So it's not just an unknown file or whatever. It'll work for now. Later on, somebody says, "Yeah, you got to change it. You got to start." It's not like it's just the title now. So I was thinking I could get away with that, even though I knew it was a Rush thing, but I came to it. I like it because it's a Rush thing, but I came to it not through Rush, if that makes sense. Uh-oh. All right. Oh, my computer froze for a second, or the screen did. Earlier, don't know what the problem was. So I told you before I have a laptop, and then I connect it to my screen, my big screen. And earlier, it just kept resetting. Like the screen kept resetting itself. And a lot of that's, I think, the computer's fault. Like, I think it's the computer doesn't have the memory to send it to two different places sometimes because I'm running too much or something. I don't know, but it was getting so bad. It was just like constant. And granted, I had I don't know how many stupid windows and tabs open. I had three tabs in Firefox open. I had at least one tab in Explorer. I had a sandbox going on. Just a little too much for the computer. So
when I reset it, worked out just fine.
But now it's wanting to freeze every once in a while. And if I go down to the toolbar and just hover over it, it'll come back. It's just being fussy. Okay, this is going to sound weird, but I'm actually going to say something positive about Facebook. Lately, I kind of made it a point to start cultivating a better feed on Facebook. So I started liking more artists and things like that, just so I would see more of that on my feed versus all the political stuff I was seeing, because, obviously I was interested in the election, but I was also then getting a whole bunch of leftist stuff and a whole bunch of stuff, because that I did, all about how evil half the country is and that kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't need that. So Facebook's, it's still more other crap than the people actually would care about, but at least it's now at least I get to see pretty pictures and try to get inspired off of those sometimes. And I don't need to have Facebook as a place to go argue with people.
What?
Well, I just.
What do you mean?
That's
what Facebook is.
That's what Twitter is.
Nuh-uh, Twitter's news.
I like how all the people are switching over to Blue Sky or whatever it is.
Yeah, Blue Sky's an echo chamber.
Yeah.
I've been there for a while. You want? I'll send you an invitation.
I
You can
know.
only get there with an invitation, but all you're going to do is see leftist propaganda.
Yeah, I know.
Them bitching about how they're mass exodus from Facebook and Twitter, and it's actually quite stupid, but you know.
That's why I don't need to have the link.
Well, I mean, if you want to keep abreast of what Stephen King is feeling,
I don't care. If Stephen, I've watched Brandon Sanderson's videos before because he talks about writing, and he talks about publishing, and he talks about just things that aren't political, but are, I think, interesting takes on different stories and whatnot. And
yeah, I think he tries to keep as apolitical as he can.
Well, it's a much better business sense, I think.
Yeah.
And Stephen King just wants to weigh in on politics to stay relevant. And
yeah, that's exactly it.
like, how about you write something that's really good? And actually, he has written some stuff that's not bad.
Yeah, a long time ago with the endings all stuff.
There's some stuff that's not bad. That's newer.
What?
He has some newer stuff that's not bad.
When was the last time a newer book got turned into a movie besides Dreamscape? Was it Dream something?
Didn't they make TV shows out of Mr. Mercedes?
They made a TV show, and Mr. Mercedes is a sequel, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
And there's also,
but that's the thing right there. I don't remember.
Well, that's true, but he's always had a pretty good relationship with ABC. That's who makes a lot of TV movies based off his work.
Most of the stuff that you see from Stephen King right now are stuff that he wrote like way earlier. It for the second incarnation and how many incarnations of The Stand are there going to be, and The Shining and the sequel to The Shining, which is only a thing because it's a sequel, and the last new thing that they put out was The Gunslinger, and that Gunslinger wasn't new.
No.
Like the end of the series was maybe new, but the actual Gunslinger book wasn't new, and it wasn't right for the book, right? So I don't know. When you say relevant, that's what I'm saying. Like he used to be like Stephen King was everywhere all the time because Stephen King was the king of horror, but then he was all like, I'm not just horror, I'm a literary whatever. And agreed, his best two movies were Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, which were ironically prison movies.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing new. Like, I don't think you're going to see a movie of, and I'm talking about movies, not made for TV movies. I don't think you're going to see a movie of Fairy Tale. even diehard Stephen King fans have been talking about how very fairy tales crap. So
Yeah, I forget what it was that he had. It was like, gosh darn it, The Institute. That's what it was. And The Institute, to me, read like kind of a knockoff version of The Shop.
yeah, a reimagining of The Shop is what I was going to say.
And I really wish you just read a novel about The Shop. I still think that's just a fantastic concept. That he just withered on the vine.
It would be fucking Republicans. It would be Donald Trump as a bad guy, and I don't need it. He's whatever relevance he had really is gone out. There's nothing that I really need to see from him. So. It's that time, huh? Calling me out, mister. Well, you're going to have to wait a second.
I do find it so endearing that he does that.
Yeah, he wants to help Dad move around the country, I guess. I find it kind of endearing as well. Until he starts rushing it, which is really not fun at all.
Yeah.
But he's usually pretty good about it. I don't usually have much complaint. I'm literally not paying attention to the time. He knows that. So there's on some level. That's what he's saying. You're not paying attention, Dad, and it's time.
Well, it is after 11. Not much.
Yeah, that's what he was just saying. It's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't have to necessarily finish this thing, but I want to weigh in the basic colors. There's mixture.
You know, that's something that Stephen King's earlier works seem to be much more rooted in a kind of lower middle class American experience, and it felt like he was rooting for the little guy,
Right.
and I understand that, you know, if you perceive some of the things he's advocating for as, you know, these are extreme minorities, and he's kind of doing it the same, but it's such a small group, and he's telling a lot of lower middle class people their values are wrong. That
Yeah, he's jumping on the bandwagon and telling people that what they think is wrong and
right,
what his political leanings are right. Well,
yeah,
that doesn't just cut it for me, you know.
I agree with you. He definitely has gotten to the like. He's just lost that connection. Like, he doesn't have it. Even when I was reading Fairy Tale, and he has the 17-year-old
$500 million and trying to tell us what we should do with our money because we have too much apparently.
Yeah,
You got $500 million. You want to fucking help somebody? You want to help these illegals? jump right in, fucking give them jobs, give them a place to live on your mansion.
Yeah.
I don't have a place to give them to live. I don't have a place to give me to live. I'm just barely going where I'm going right now. So, that's just crap. He's as unrealistic as fucking Taylor Swift. She's never going to ever have to worry about going to fucking the grocery store and affording to, feed her kids.
That is true, and I don't really care about her political aspirations or her considerations on politics. But as an artist, I do kind of have respect for her because
I don't when she tries to tell me what I should do with my little ass piddly amount of money when she's got millions and ain't doing what she's saying.
Well, I agree. I don't. That's the stuff I just ignore her on. I don't. Yeah, you have no idea what that is, but I do appreciate if you watch her career. It's interesting to watch her, be shunned by the Country Music Hall of Fame. It's like the CMTs threw her out, or not CMTs, Country Music CMAs. Yeah, kicked her out. Said she wasn't country and just kicked her out of the associations. I mean, it's just she's had to buck industry people, and I appreciate that. So I'm not saying that I agree with her politics because it appears I don't, but I can still respect her as an artist. I mean, she went from basically, she built herself up into the #1 music act, I would say, probably that's alive right now. And I don't think she had a ton of help doing it. Like, she definitely fought the industry.
I don't know. I have no interest in her in the least in anything.
Well, that's fine. I understand that.
I'm not saying anything for her, against her, except for the only way I know her is through her politics and telling people who to vote for. And, I'm not interested in that. She's not going to win my vote on anything because of that kind of shit. I don't listen to that type of music. I don't listen to much for music anyway these days. Like, the only thing that I'm even interested in listening to right now is the new Killswitch Engage.
I thought it was funny earlier. I was listening to Spotify, and do you know the Fever Ray song, If I Had a Heart?
The what?
There's a band called Fever Ray.
Nope.
Okay, well, it's very... I think it was on a show, actually. I think it might have been... Hold on. Let me check something. Yeah, it was on the show Vikings, If I Had a Heart. And
yeah, I stopped watching Vikings after the second episode.
well, that's fine. I'm not sure if I ever watched it. I saw ads for it. That's where I heard the
they
song.
hyped it up to be historically accurate, and then in the first fucking 2 episodes, they proved that it wasn't even close to historically accurate.
Well, it's a pretty dark, brooding song. It is.
Well,
and
that
anyway,
wasn't surprising.
so I'm listening to Spotify. It plays that song. I'm like, yeah, loving it. Cool. And then it plays Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge. And I'm like, yeah, dig it. Like, I didn't care.
Yeah,
I was like, this is
Thanksgiving
wild.
song.
But, I don't know.
These are your
Very
Thanksgiving
expected.
songs?
Huh?
Are these your Thanksgiving songs?
No.
So they weren't on the Thanksgiving playlist.
They were not on the Thanksgiving playlist. I just thought it was funny. Here I am listening to this 1980 something pop song from one of the most effeminate sounding men ever.
Right?
and right after I'm listening to Fever Ray.
The theme song for Short Circuit 2 versus the theme song for Viking.
Yeah, there you go.
Alright. Well, do something soon, then you can either blow a gasket or disappear. Or both.
Okay.
Alright, so everyone that watched, thanks for watching. Nobody commented, so I don't have to thank anybody for commenting.
Thank you for
Thanks
keeping your mouth shut.
Liking, following, subscribing, thumbs upping, whatever. Have a good one. Good night. God bless. Much love.
Peace out.